3 years of conflict that have rocked the foundation of the galaxy have finally come to an end, though it's far from the peaceful, hopeful victory that some had looked for. While the droid army has been shut down, the clone troopers have now turned on their Jedi generals, and anyone seen assisting them is considered an enemy of the new empire. The Republic has fallen and been reorganized into the first galactic empire, for what its emperor suggests will bring a safe and secure society. What he purposefully laid out was just how the empire would seek to achieve such a goal. The clone troopers now acted as if they were stormtroopers, rushing into cities and conforming it to imperial rule. Citizens were to be ID tagged, given a number, and sent on their way to live life under a new form of tyranny. As for the clone troopers, the inhibitor chips that were planted in their brains have wiped out almost all that existed before. Where there were once names, originality, now there is only a number. During this time, there is no more chilling place than where it all originated, the ocean world of Kamino. There, the Kaminoans who oversaw the creation of the army await the arrival of Admiral Tarkin. Prime Minister Lama Su pores over a datapad ripe with information about the events of Order 66. It seems the inhibited chips have served their purpose. So far, not a single Jedi has survived their execution. You should be impressed, Tan Wei. Tan Wei was the assistant to Lama Su, and she oversaw much of the creation of the army as well. I knew they'd do their job well, Prime Minister. Though why is the Admiral here? Is there an issue? Lama Su passed his datapad to a server droid as he raised from his seat. His slender figure swayed as he walked, requesting Tan Wei to follow. The Empire wishes to do a survey of the sorts of our army. He has informed me of a move to replace our soldiers. Replace? What would be the reason? Fear not. I'm certain Admiral Tarkin will see the continued need of our cloning program. As the Prime Minister continued his stride, he noticed another Kaminoan walking along towards the training hall. By her side was a young clone referred to as Omega. Her reason for existing was a secret even to her, and Lama Su intended to keep things that way. He called out the Kaminoan with her. Nala say, have you heard back from Clone Force 99? Yes, Prime Minister. Their mission on Collar was a success. Shadow Master Balapa and her Padawan are both terminated. They are due to return any moment now. Very well. Have them report to the training immediately upon arrival. Yes, Prime Minister. Come, Omega. Lama Su watched as a young clone latched on to Nala Se. He certainly hoped her purpose for existing wouldn't come to fruition, and if his plan for the day worked out, it absolutely wouldn't. Some short time passed and it was reported that Admiral Tarkin had arrived on Kamino. Tarkin had never set foot on the world, but he was all familiar with the work of the clone troopers. He had mixed opinions, and it was the negative ones that were the most important. He firmly believed that whatever soldier served the Empire should have zero flaws. His escort soon brought him before Lama Su. Admiral Tarkin, it is truly an honor to have you here. Tarkin felt a bit jealous of the stature these Kaminoans possessed. He always commanded attention with his posture, his voice, his attitude. Yet these creatures did it with their height alone, even with such a graceful nature of motion. The pleasure is mine, Prime Minister. Though it's in both of our interests that we get right to the topic at hand. Early reports suggest that the clones were mostly successful in terminating the treacherous Jedi across the galaxy. Pardon if you don't mind me asking, but what is meant by mostly, Admiral Tarkin? Lama Su felt worry grow within him as he believed everything had gone according to plan. There are 2 Jedi unaccounted for, and both were primary targets by the Emperor himself. These 2 failures are alone troubling, to say the least. I can assure you, these are rare instances that will be rectified. Indeed they will, one way or another. The meeting of Tarkin and Lama Su felt more of a subtle war of words than a diplomatic meeting. It was clear they both had very different lines of thought, but soon came Nala Se to inform of Clone Force 99's arrival. Thank you, Nala Se. Lama Su gestured for Tarkin to walk out to a viewing platform adjacent to them. Admiral, if you will, I think you'll find what we're capable of producing for the Empire quite encouraging. Tarkin stepped on the platform to see 4 clones aligned at the very end. Lama Su was caught off guard, pulling Nala Se to the side for a moment. Clone Force 99 is supposed to be made up of 5 individuals. Where is CT-1409? From the report, it seems the inhibitor chip for CT-1409, the one they called Echo, failed to activate. He was terminated by the others for attempting to help the Jedi. Lama Su was speechless, but turned his attention back to the demonstration at hand. Tarkin couldn't help but notice the moment of pause. Is there an issue, Prime Minister? Absolutely not, Admiral. May I introduce you to Clone Force 99? Lama Su signaled for the simulation to begin as the group of clones sprang into action. Tarkin watched on as the squad of enhanced clones made quick work of the training droids tossed their way. These clones are quite impressive. Clone Force 99, I believe you said? Magnificent, aren't they? Lama Su found great pride in the work of Clone Force 99, but Tarkin was about to cut that feeling in half. Yes, but the droid army are a threat of the past. There are new targets the Empire must face. Maybe a true test is in order. Have them brought up. I wish for them to hear this as well. The display put on by the Clone Force was put on hold, and the clones took a moment to debrief with one another before heading to their next destination. Where are they sending us now? The largest of the bunch, a hulking clone known as Wrecker, was always the most restless of the bunch. Even with the activation of his inhibitor, nothing moved quickly enough for him. Easy, Wrecker. That's the Admiral who's requesting us now. Something big must be happening. Hunter, the leader of the group, found himself reeling Wrecker in. Bigger than the ending of the war? Doubt it. It could be a new conflict beginning. What are you talking about, Tech? The clone pored over his personal datapad. It seems a number of Jedi are unaccounted for following Order 66. Maybe this is what the Admiral wishes to request our services for. Whatever it is, we'll do our job well. Crosshair, who has become more heartless than before. Yet, that can be said about all the members of Clone Force 99 as they prepare for a meeting with Tarkin. On the world of Kamino, Admiral Tarkin stands with Prime Minister Lama Su as they await the arrival of Clone Force 99. Tarkin has hinted that he wishes to test the ability of the altered clones on more than training droids. Soon the troopers stand face to face with the Admiral. I must admit, your skills in the training simulation were admirable. Yet, the droid army are no longer a threat to the Empire. Jedi pose the biggest issue for now, and they all must be terminated. Your brethren have failed where they couldn't afford such. There's still Jedi unaccounted for, and they must be brought to justice. Hunter soon stepped forward. Who exactly is this Jedi? You will find out eventually. The Emperor had them marked as a priority target. Shouldn't that mean they're dead? Until a body has been identified, all Jedi will be considered alive between us. Find them. Tarkin then turned to Lama Su. If your creations are successful, we shall resume our talks. With that, the Admiral made his exit, and certainly left his mark amongst the Kaminoans. Lama Su couldn't quite make out if he had gotten what he wanted out of the Admiral, but he knew a lot rested on the shoulders of the 4 clones standing before him. I'm certain you will be successful where others were not. The information for your mission will be sent shortly. Lama Su now made his exit as Clone Force 99 debated the recent developments. So we're supposed to find some Jedi? Big deal. The ones on Kala were a cakewalk. Perhaps not. There's 2 Jedi that received priority status, the former General Obi-Wan Kenobi and another Jedi, Ahsoka Tano. Tech was glued to the datapad as he pored over the information for both. Tech, what are you doing? Did you break into records already? Depends on how you define break. Besides, it's better than waiting for their dossier to arrive. It seems Obi-Wan Kenobi was on Utapau at the time of the order. CC-2244 reported him as MIA, but public records have him as dead. What about the other Jedi? This Tano. His was interesting. She was reportedly stationed aboard a Jedi cruiser at the time of the order, yet all contact with the ship was lost, but, as expected, public records have her listed as dead. Crosshair started cleaning his rifle as he looked towards the upcoming hunt. So, we have our pick of who to find. Wonderful. I say we go after Kenobi. Well, it seems we don't get a choice. The dossier has arrived. Ahsoka Tano is our target. Figures. She's gonna be the hardest one to find. What information does it have? Hunter signaled for everyone to prep as Tech delivered the details on the target. The cruiser was stationed above Mandalore for a short time, set to extradite a prisoner to Coruscant. Once Order 66 was issued, contact lasted for about an hour before the ship went offline. The last known position is above an unnamed moon. Logic says we should start there. Hunter placed on his helmet.
Then let's get moving.
The squad loaded up on their personal starship and took off from Kamino on their first official Imperial mission. The ride to the unknown moon was quiet, as there was one thing on everyone's mind: Echo. When Order 66 was called, Echo's treatment under Separatist captivity resulted in his inhibitor failing. He was left the only clone on collar, questioning what was happening, but his squad mates weren't. I'll say it. Well, I miss Echo. Wrecker trudged his way to the back of the ship, while Crosshair sat patiently.
He disobeyed direct orders. Got what he was owed.
Still, he was pretty useful. With that little droid arm of his. I bet he made Tech's job easier. We can make do without him. We did before he joined. Tech joined the conversation from the cockpit, but Hunter wanted to change of pace.
Who is Ahsoka Tano anyway? Why did she receive priority status? From what I read, she left the order.
I questioned that as well. The only viable information I found was she was once the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, but Imperial records list him as dead as well, both publicly and behind closed doors. Where did Skywalker die? I remember him at an Axis. If I remember correctly, he fell at the Jedi Temple, but it's time to put that out of mind. We're here. The blue lights of the hyperspace ended as the desolate moon came into vision. The orbit of the planet was empty, leaving most of the squad to question if anything was even here. Though Crosshair pointed out fragments of debris floating around, he noted the trajectory suggested something was down below on the moon. Once the ship made its way to the surface, there was no mistaking what laid out before them. A Republic cruiser was crashed, and snow had started following, almost covering up whatever secrets were left. Clone Force 99 made certain to uncover them before they were lost forever.
All right.
Hunter called out to his team.
Let's move out.
The ship landed behind the wreckage, and each member of the team stepped out, cautiously aiming their blasters across the unfamiliar landscape.
Split up. See what you can find. But stay frosty.
Hunter ordered as each trooper explored a different part of the wreckage. Tech decided to check inside the cruiser itself, while Crosshair circled around, hoping to find a spot where he could watch over. Wrecker uncovered pieces of rubble, looking for anything, though it was Crosshair who noticed something interesting.
Hunter, to the rear there are the helmet of clone troopers. Legion is unidentifiable. Never known any to have that kind of marking, but I do see a 501st helmet.
Tech chimed in on the comms to offer an explanation.
I've located the ship's manifest. The 501st Legion did serve on this vessel. It appears that they painted their helmets for this Ahsoka Tano. I'm digging through the security recordings now. I'll let you know what I find.
Hunter and Wrecker soon arrived to where Crosshair had led them, and what they saw was absolutely puzzling. Countless helmets, all serving as grave markers for the clones buried below them. It quickly became clear that the only person who could have done this was the Jedi in question, but that was the only answer they had. They still had no clue what transpired on board the cruiser for it to meet the fate it had. Hunter soon found a critical piece of the puzzle. He kneeled down and uncovered a lightsaber, slightly marred by the weather, but still intact.
Boys, we got a lightsaber. A Jedi must be dead then. They never forget that.
Hunter knew more than to believe a false signal like this.
No. She wants everyone to think she's dead. The Jedi is out there somewhere.
Tech then came over the comms, signaling for everyone to meet him in the bridge of the derelict vessel. They all gathered around as Tech began to play the recordings he was able to uncover.
It seems Order 66 was successfully received on board this vessel, though Tano was able to avoid her extermination. Yet something occurred with this clone, CT-7567, Captain Rex. It appears at some point he started helping the Jedi, and the pair escaped. Further recordings indicate they were able to scavenge a BTL Y-Wing starfighter before escaping. So now we're looking for two traitors. Great.
Now the Clone Force had a new lead. This clone trooper, one they knew from Anaxis, CT-7567. So not only were they hunting a Jedi, but now they were hunting one of their own. After their first Imperial assignment led them to an unnamed moon in search of the Jedi Ahsoka Tano, new revelations have revealed that their search has taken yet another step. Security recordings for a crashed Jedi cruiser revealed that the clone, known as CT-7567, Captain Rex, had betrayed the Empire in favor of assisting Tano. It was clear that if the clone Force 99 wanted to find her, Rex was going to have to be a big part of that search. How the heck are we supposed to find that Reg and a Jedi? They might not even be together. Wrecker marched up the entrance ramp of the personal starship of Clone Force 99, falling in line behind his brothers. Trust me, they're together. Hunter sat down as he removed his helmet. If there's one thing true about traitors, they're all one and the same. No doubt they keep in contact at least. Tech initiated the takeoff sequence for the ship as he turned to join the conversation. And I think I know exactly where to start our search. Despite his behavior, CT-7567 is still bred to be a soldier. That in mind, he could be assisting in efforts to combat the new Empire. There's no way Rex could be that idiotic. The Empire is order. Even he could understand that. Hunter spoke from his previous experience working alongside Rex. He knew that there had to be something different about the clone. Times are changing, Hunter. If he was foolish enough to help the Jedi, he's foolish enough to fight the Empire. It's our job to stop him. Crosshair's right. But before we advance, I believe it's best we inform the Admiral of our next move. Tech activated the long-range communicator on the ship, and before long, the Admiral was standing before them, yet it wasn't who they were expecting. Clone Force 99. I am Admiral Rampart, the new Imperial lead here on Camino. Admiral Tarkin said you will report in soon with details of your mission. This new Admiral appeared much younger than Tarkin, yet there existed this burning passion for order at any cost in his eyes. Yes, Admiral Rampart. We've tracked the last known whereabouts of the Jedi to an unknown moon, but the trail's gone cold here. We suspect she is still in contact with the rogue clone, and we need to find him to continue our search. Hunter didn't care much for who the Empire had them reporting to, as long as they were going to get the job done. Finding Rex was going to be an extremely time-critical aspect of this mission, and he hoped Rampart understood that. I see. I inquire a reason for contact goes deeper than just a status update then, Sergeant. Sir, we need any reports of insurgent activity. We believe given his nature, he might be associated with any of these groups. Rampart paused for a moment. Hunter noticed the Admiral seemed to be logging some sort of information. So you believe rogue clones could be inclined to fight against the Empire? No, sir. CT-7567 is a rare breed, a Generation 1 clone who served for virtually the entire war. Is all he knows. Very well. Patching the information to you now. I trust this will serve your team well. Admiral Rampart ended the transmission as the insurgency information arrived soon after. Crosshair shuffled through it all as he highlighted 2 cases of interest. He relayed his findings to the team. There are 2 cases of insurgency that spark particular interest. The first is on the planet of Onderon. Rebels that have fought against the Separatist occupation are now turning their efforts. Cross-referencing old Republic records show that CT-7567 assisted in training these rebels, yet it was meant to be off the books. Then there's a droid disassembly factory that's been raided. Well, what's so interesting about that? The only thing taken was the head of a tactical droid. With the droid army out of commission, the only purpose it would serve falls under a tactical category, such as training an army for another war. Onderon is first. The traitor has clear ties to that planet. If he's not there, I'm willing to bet he has been. Tech, let's get moving. Clone Force 99 now prepared for the first venture to the planet of Onderon. The world falls in a short list of planets that fought their own war outside of the clone conflict. They were led by the Guerrera siblings for a better part of their war against the Separatists until the death of Stila Guerrera. Since then, her brother Saul became sole leader, and his tactics have become increasingly brazen. Now the Empire has overtaken, and his fight became far more gruesome. This is something the local commander informed Clone Force 99 of once they arrived to the capital city. Saul Guerrera and his forces are held up somewhere in the jungles on the outskirts of the sector. We can supply a probe droid to assist in your efforts. Thank you, Commander. Hunter turned to Tech standing behind him. You handle that probe droid. Wrecker, Crosshair, let's gear up. It would take some time before the probe droid returned with the information they sought. Yet once it did, Clone Force 99 was more than prepared. Tech returned to his brothers, who sat ready to move out. The probe droid has located Guerrera's insurgents. They're in Sector ZA-113. Enough of the numbers, let's go! Wrecker charged through the jungle as the rest of Clone Force 99 headed out as well. The reason for the hulking clone's pace came as a result of promised action. He hadn't gotten in a shootout since the end of the war, and his blood was boiling for it. Hunter could sense this as he made sure one thing was understood. If the clone or Saw Guerrera are here, they're to stay alive until we get what we need. Got it, Wrecker? Yeah, I got it. Wrecker let out a laugh as they continued to traverse the jungle. As they got closer, Hunter was able to corral Wrecker as they prepped for their assault. Not much in the way of an overlook, so Crosshair, you'll be charging in with us. Wrecker, you'll take point. If any of them get close, you send them to the ground. Remember, if CT-7567 or Saw Guerrera are spotted, no killing, wound shots only. Just as Hunter finished his orders, shots rang out, but not from his team. The insurgents had spotted them and weren't willing to wait to be ambushed. Clone Force 99 now sprang into action, and everyone had to admit that combat felt great. Punch through, boys! Hunter nudged at Wrecker to take up position next to him as they emerged from their cover. Crosshair found a point to take cover as he fired lethal shots at the insurgents. Even though the rush of warfare was refreshing, a ship taking off immediately reminded them of the time-sensitive status of this mission. They're evacuating! Push harder! None of them are leaving today! As the firefight continued to erupt, Clone Force 99 pressed forward to what was clearly a campsite. Crosshair spotted a ship being loaded with insurgents, and among them was Saw Gerrera. He aimed his scope and for a second had Gerrera in his sights. Then he aimed towards the pilot of the ship, and one shot left the vessel with a dead driver. "Hunter, Gerrera is at the ship. He won't be taking off anytime soon." "Let's finish this! Round them up!" As their numbers started dropping, the insurgents eventually surrendered to their adversaries, something Gerrera couldn't believe as he resented raising his hands in defeat. He was approached by the Clone Force 99, who clearly had interest in him. "Saw Gerrera, leader of the Onderon Rebellion. You are a courageous soldier, but it's pointless to fight the Empire. You can only last so long. What I'm doing isn't dependent on me living. It's about making sure the fight lasts, which you're never going to combat against. You keep thinking that, but you're going to tell us one thing. Where's CT-7567? Gerrera looked at Hunter in disgust. "I don't know anyone whose name is a number, scum." "Fine. Let's rephrase so you'll understand. Where is the clone you know as Captain Rex?" "This isn't an army. We don't have ranks." It became clear that Hunter was growing tired of the question dodging, and Crosshair had a new suggestion. Maybe if he doesn't want to talk, silencing some of his friends will give him some encouragement. Crosshair aimed his blaster at an unarmed soldier as he looked toward Hunter for approval. Hunter locked eyes with Crosshair's target as he signaled for him to take the shot. In an instant, the man was lifeless on the ground, yet Gerrera didn't even look at the man. "Feel like telling the truth now, Gerrera?" Hunter thought the intimidation was a start, but it quickly became clear more had to be done. "Fine. Crosshair, keep going until he starts talking. And if he doesn't, civilians are fair game too." "Are you mad?" Saul finally broke his silence. "You would do anything searching for one man. You want to know the truth? He was here, but he left long before you got here." Hunter aimed his blaster at Saul, who didn't flinch in the face of death. "If he isn't here, then you know what to say next. Where did he go?" "You don't scare me, clone. You're nothing but a tool for the Empire, and you always have been. It was just too late before anyone realized." "We're not here for your speeches, Gerrera." Saul soon smirked, the only visible expression of emotion he displayed this entire time. "It's not the speech you'll remember." The members of Clone Force 99 all shared a moment of confusion before the insurgent leader shouted, "Now!" An explosion soon followed that rocked everyone to the ground. Hunter was knocked unconscious and was awoken by the sounds of blasted fire as clone reinforcements arrived to stave off the last of Gerrera's forces. "Where's Gerrera?" Hunter shouted as Wrecker carried him to the shuttle. "He escaped. We got bigger problems. Crosshair's hurt. Bad." Wrecker dragged Hunter back onto the shuttle and saw Crosshair sitting with bandages covering his head. It seemed shrapnel from the blast nearly caught his hide. Luck was on his side. Tech played medic as he now assessed the injuries that Hunter may have suffered. "And you seem lucky too. Any more force and you would have been out of commission as well." "Which means I'm not. We have to get moving. Gerrera has the information we need." Hunter brushed aside Tech's medical equipment. The clone had to put a fork in Hunter's idea. "Actually, sir, I think Braca would serve us more. We have an alert that clones were spotted inside a script cruiser on the world. CT-7567 is sure to have something to do with this." "Fine. Braca it is." Hunter took the moment to relax as the ship took off. Though the lead on Onderon proved to be a bust, the hunt for CT-7567 and the Jedi he assisted still rolled on. The planet of Braca has become the next destination for Clone Force 99 in their hunt for CT-7567. The clone captain is the biggest lead to finding their assigned Jedi target, Ahsoka Tano, though locating the rogue clone has not been the simplest of tasks. A dead end on Onderon led to a skirmish between the elite clones and the insurgent group led by Saw Gerrera. They hope this next lead proves to be something worthy. Rogue clones were spotted entering the wreckage of a crashed Venator cruiser, and there was every reason to believe that one of these clones were who they were hunting for. Once Clone Force 99 shuttle made way to the orbit of the planet, the Scrappers Guild raised them for communication. "I take it you're who the Empire sent to deal with our trespassers?" The guild leader had a raspy voice that did nothing but irritate Hunter as he responded. "Affirmative. Just point us in the direction and stay out of our way." Hunter knew that this was the best opportunity they had at finding Captain Rex, and there was no way these scrappers were going to hurt those chances. "Your business is not ours, Imperial. Just take care not to damage too much potential merchandise." The guild leader ended the transmission as the members of Clone Force 99 prepped for their operations. "Scrap matches are the scum of the galaxy. Are we all ready to go?" "All of us except Crosshair, sadly." Tech pulled up a tactical display highlighting Crosshair's condition. "The explosion from Onderon will leave Crosshair out of commission for some time. There is no worry, for the task of hunting CT-7567 is still doable with our current numbers." Hunter looked over to Crosshair, who laid asleep, resting while his injuries healed up. "Fine. 3-man job it is. Let's get moving." The shuttle landed just out of view of the Venator in question, as to not to alert the rogue clones of their presence. "Tech, hit the ship with a thermal. See what we're dealing with." Following the orders of the sergeant, Tech scanned the ship for any presence of the targets. "I've located 5 individuals in what appears to be the ship's medical bay. 3 seem to be recuperating. The other 2 just talking." "That makes it easier for us." I was hoping for another fight." "Reel it in, Wrecker. You get one once we find that Jedi. We have to get the clone first." Hunter ordered for Tech and Wrecker to follow as they made their way to the Venator. They caught wind of what brought the clones here, an older LAAT gunship, which was on its way of being phased out by the Empire. Hunter kept the team moving as he scaled the wreckage, looking for an entry point. Once that was found, Hunter looked towards Wrecker. "We can get the jump on them if we're quiet. Got it?" "I got it. Quiet." Despite Wrecker's sarcastic response, he got the message as the trio entered the structure. Hunter couldn't help but think that despite serving the Grand Army of the Republic for a large portion of the war, Clone Force 99 rarely found themselves on board one of these cruisers. For that matter, those who didn't even know the task force existed, but that was a bygone era now, and this ship is nothing but a relic. There might be few still in service, but talk has already started of a new, much larger capital ship that will command respect for the Imperial Navy. These ships are going to take a lot of metal to construct. Perhaps that's why the Empire made a deal with these scrap guilds. Planets like Braca, Raxus Prime are the building blocks for a new war machine. Though all of that was unimportant right now, what mattered was finding CT-7567, and once they arrived to the medical bay, their hunt was over. There, standing before them, was the clone in question, yet next to him was a much more grizzled clone. His right eye was cybernetic, with a scar crossing it horizontally. His armor decals were grayed, much opposed to the blue of Rex and the old 501st Legion. The clone spoke to Rex about the appearance of Clone Force 99. "Rex, I take it they weren't supposed to be here." Rex recognized who stood before him and spoke easily of the trio of clones aiming their blasters at him. "This is the Bad Batch. Wrecker, Tech, and Hunter." He turned to Clone Force 99. "But where's Crosshair? Where's Echo?" "That's none of your concern, traitor." Rex quickly came to see what was happening. "Hunter, listen, I know what you're feeling right now, but this isn't you. There's a chip in your, unless you have any information regarding the location of Ahsoka Tano, you're not in position to speak." Hunter's blaster was firmly aimed at CT-7567. "Tano? How do you know about that? About her? Rex's hand slowly started reaching down towards his side. Slow that hand down, Reg. You might have outsmarted a few, but you know we're proficient. Now tell us what you know about Tano. She went her own way. That's what she is. She had enough of the wars, the fighting. Can't say I blame her. But fighting is what I'm built for. We all are. But you're not on the right side, and it's not your fault. Listen to me. There's an inhibitor. Enough of the side talk. If we can't find the Jedi, you and your friends would do. It was with these words that Hunter noticed the clone next to Rex had a sudden shift in his presence. He shot a glance at Rex before charging towards Hunter, shouting, "For the Clone Rebellion!" The clone put up more of a fight than Hunter expected, even positioning himself so the rest of Clone Force 99 couldn't get a clear shot. And before they could turn their attention to Rex and the other clones, smoke filled the room as the tight quarters became a maze of gray mist. Wrecker began firing shots through the smoke, hoping to hit something as Tech moved to help Hunter. He stunned the clone, bringing him to the ground before realizing that the other parties had left. It seems a little diversion worked. The clones escaped. They couldn't have gotten far, right? Almost in direct response to Wrecker's words, they could hear the roaring sound of an LAAT gunship taking off. The group ran outside with their new prisoner in tow to see the ship rising into the air. They fired shot after shot, each only scorching the hull. Yet Hunter saw a tracker attached to the bottom, and upon looking down at the Hobbit Marauder, he saw Crosshair had just fired the device. He ordered for the rest of Clone Force 99 to cease fire and return to the ship. It was time to report back to Kamino with the prisoner. Once the team of elite clones had arrived back to their homeworld, they were immediately greeted by Admiral Rampart. He waited in the hangar, flanked by heavily armed shock troopers as the Hobbit Marauder landed and Clone Force 99 departed. Rampart called out to them. It seems Brock approved to serve you well, though I believe Tarkin was looking for a Jedi, not a defective clone. Even though he made light of Tarkin's disapproval, it was clear Rampart was not pleased about the latest developments. This clone, and ones like him, are still going to be of use, sir. He was with the rogue clone that assisted the Jedi. We find the rest of them, we find Tano. Hunter passed the captured clone off the Morregs as he continued speaking with Rampart. We only request a small amount of assistance. Rampart's eyes showed surprise in the request of Clone Force 99. Assistance, you say? What for? CT-7567 appears to be gathering a large amount of clones, possibly forming a new insurgent cell in the process. Wherever they're held up, we're gonna need a little backup getting inside, sir. Hunter hated to ask for help, but on the ride back to Kamino, he knew that Crosshair wasn't 100% guaranteed to be cleared for combat, and there's no telling how many clones Rex had found. Very well. You will be granted access to 1 platoon of soldiers for your mission. Make good use of them, Sergeant. Thank you, Admiral. Rampart made his departure as Hunter turned back to his team. Stock up, and then we'll get moving. Tech, keep your eye on that transmitter. Wherever those clones end up is our next destination. The waiting game now started, as Clone Force 99 now prepared to face an enemy that was almost just like them. Almost being the key word, as their targets still lacked the enhancements granted to them, and they planned to exploit that as much as they could. The only question that remained was when that would happen. The end of the Clone Wars was something that always made Rex question his future. He thought what would become of him and his brothers once the Separatists were defeated. Would they continue to serve the Republic, or be cast aside once some sort of peace was once again achieved? Those were his thoughts years ago. Now he asked a different set of questions. The most important being, how will his brothers that he rescued fight back? He had scoured the galaxy, freeing other clones from the danger that was planted in their heads, the inhibitor chips. The blasted things even made him turn into a cold-blooded killer, powerless to return to his former self. It was Ahsoka Tano who pulled him back, and it is his mission to do the same for others. His usual location to do so was on the scrap world of Braca, where Republic cruisers of the old Navy are dumped on a routine basis. However, the latest excursion was interrupted by a detachment of clones he once knew. He called them the Bad Batch, yet, like so many things under Imperial protocol, nicknames were against procedure, so they only knew themselves as Clone Force 99. They would make great allies if they were freed of their inhibitors, he thought, yet they weren't, which makes them the greatest danger to what he has brewing. The Republic gunship that he boarded landed on an outskirts world, where an old abandoned village has become the base for his freed and rescued clone brothers. It has become the only location in the galaxy with any hint of how the Republic and its army operated. Some clones sat at makeshift consoles, monitoring Imperial activity, while also watching for any signal from clones scattered throughout the galaxy looking for help. Once Rex landed, he made sure the newest additions to the base felt as welcomed as possible, telling them to find an empty house and make it their own. However, one of the technicians approached Rex with troubling news. "Captain Rex, sir, I hate to tell you this, but your gunship was traced. We found this tracker attached to the bottom. Do you know who could have done it?" The technician was understandably worried, as there was no telling who knew where their base was, though Rex knew exactly who had an idea, and soon he began to worry, not exactly for who tracked them, but who they worked for. The Empire. Rex's words trailed off as he began to ponder his next move for his brothers. "Prep the base for invasion. They'll be coming soon." There was a chill as the clones thought that this was the safest place for them, uncharted territory and living in a forgotten city. Though it became quick to realize that there was no secret the Empire couldn't uncover. The individual responsible for the tracker, Crosshair, soon brought the news to the rest of his team. The tracker has pinged somewhere in the unknown regions. The planet is unnamed as well. They did a good job to stay off the radar. Crosshair had respect for those smart enough to make him work for the kill, and Rex had done just that. "I think it's best we send a probe droid before launching our attack." Tech was already moving to the back of the Homic Marauder to prep the droid. "Good thinking. Admiral Rampart has given us a platoon of Regs as well. We'll handle this, no problem." Hunter then began laying out the next part of the plan while he sent the location to the frigate carrying their reinforcements. "Once we infiltrate the base, CT-7567 is needed alive. He's the only one who knows where Ahsoka Tano is, and until we know, he is priority status. Got it?" The rest of Clone Force 99 nodded in approval as Tech launched the probe droid after keying in coordinates of Crosshair's tracker. While they waited for the droid to arrive, Tech did one more medical scan of Crosshair. "You are 96.7% healed from the injury sustained on Alderaan. It is safe to say that you are cleared for the mission to capture CT-7567, though it's recommended you avoid any frontline combat." Tech continued, keying away at his datapad. "I know what I'm capable of. Your numbers aren't always fact, Tech." Without even looking up, Tech responded. "On the contrary, the numbers I calculate are crucial to the success of every mission we've undertaken, and in that way..." "Would you shut up for once? We're getting ready for a real fight, and you two talking is killing the mood." Wrecker stalked around the ship, anxious to launch, but nothing could get going without the data from the probe droid. After what seemed like an eternity of wait, they received that data. The probe droid landed on the outskirts of what seemed to be a well-fortified city. Clones lined a trench created outside it. Turrets were raised, and Hunter knew that they were dealing with more than a bunch of outcasts hiding in the woods. These were clones who were raised only to fight. It's what they knew best. He knew they were going to need more troops to break those defenses and immediately contacted the frigate where their reinforcements were coming from. "Come in, frigate C7111. This is CT9901 on board the Havoc Marauder." It was only a few seconds before a response came in. "This is Captain Constantine of Corellia's Will. What is the reason for the contact, Sergeant?" Hunter was clear in his words, knowing that he had no time to make a formal request. "We need more troops for the upcoming assault. A second platoon will be necessary to complete the mission." The mission detailed only one was provided. Now the detail has been altered. Head to the location now and be prepared with a second platoon. Do you understand? There was a moment of silence before the captain of the vessel agreed. In time, the Havoc Marauder met with Corellia's Will in the orbit above the target planet. An order was given and troopers were sent down to the surface below. The irony of this situation turned out to be that troopers being sent were clones themselves, tasked with taking out a base of their brothers. Though for them, these rogues betrayed them for a weaker, insignificant cause. Clone Force 99 knew that the Regs would be capable enough to thin the herd before they themselves launched to the surface. Below, Rex analyzed a tactical readout that showed the ships above orbit. He was joined by two others, Boomer, a clone who also served with him in the 501st, and by Commander Doom, who he had freed of his inhibitor some time before. "We knew this was going to happen, but not so soon." Doom had seen many battles during the Clone Wars, and the incident involving his Jedi generals opened his eyes to something bigger, which made it easier for Rex to convince him to remove his inhibitor. "There's nowhere to run. That's just how we like it, eh, boys?" Rex respected the drive that Doom had to fight, but couldn't help but worry. Everyone that was here was all they had. There would be no reinforcements. He now watched from the old palace as Imperial landing shuttles landed on the outskirts, and waves of troops marched out. He felt sick that they were clones, but he had long accepted that he couldn't save every clone from the grip of the Empire. But he was determined to protect the ones he already had. He gave the order to open fire, and his brothers did just that. Despite every participant in the battle being a clone, it was clear to tell sides. The Imperials had shed their colors, wearing armor that would have gotten them called shinies by the more experienced soldier. And Rex forces did the opposite, still proudly displaying their colors, whether it be for pride or honoring their fallen brothers. Regardless of why, they fought on against their invaders. Clone Force 99 monitored the progress from above, and Tech chimed in with what he saw as crucial information. "The assault is going as expected. Yet, if it is to continue this way, now is the time for us to join the battle." "Finally! Let's go down there!" With that, the Havoc Marauder jetted down to the surface and landed next to the other shuttles. Rex spotted the ship belonging to Bad Batch. It was only a matter of time, Rex whispered to himself before raising communication to Commander Doom on the front. "Doom, Clone Force 99 is entering the fray. Doom, report in." "Aye, Regent. We'll be ready for him, but prep the inner defenses." Blaster fire cut Doom out of the comm link as Rex ordered all troops to prepare in case the outer line falls. Much against his hope, that was only minutes away from happening now that Clone Force 99 pushed ahead alongside the Regs. "Stay down, traitors!" Wrecker almost couldn't contain himself as he fired away. Crosshair found whatever cover he could as he took shots at the defending clone forces. "Push right! Let the Regs handle the middle!" Hunter yelled out as they moved into position. As the battle dragged on, they knew they had the upper hand. Eventually, the trench was cleared and the Imperial forces pushed into the small town. It wouldn't take much to make quick work of those that were left, yet eventually, Clone Force 99 found their way to Captain Rex, who was backing away from a terminal, just finishing what appeared to be a transmission. "Don't move, traitor. You won't get away this time. You have nothing more to run to. Well, except your Jedi friend. But we'll handle that too." Hunter and the rest of Clone Force 99 surrounded Rex. You're still on that, Hunter. Don't you see this isn't you? Don't you all see that? You're not making these choices on your own. Rex continued to try to reach what lay beneath with Clone Force 99. That's the talk of a traitor. Tech, hack that console. Find out where he sent that transmission. Hunter then turned back to Rex. You have until he finishes to give up the location of Ahsoka Tano, or you'll end up like every other traitor here. You can kill me, but why don't you ask your superiors about what's in your head? The inhibitors, they use them to make you obedient. They turn you into heartless killers for them. Whatever they do, they have their reasons. For that, we have a purpose. Though your purpose is wearing thin. Where is Tano? Hunter pressed closer, and Rex looked unfazed. I got the location, Tech alerted as Hunter zeroed in on Rex. Your time's up, traitor. Hunter fired a burst of shots into the chest of CT-7567, sending him to the ground. The 4 clones headed back to the Havoc Marauder with the information they now had. Once on board, Tech sent all information they had to the newly appointed Governor Tarkin, who contacted them personally. Your work here is greatly appreciated, Clone Force 99. Yet, the task of hunting Ahsoka Tano has been personally delegated to Lord Vader. Your services for this matter are completed. You may return to Kamino at once until you receive your next mission. Understood, Governor. The transmission faded as Clone Force 99 sat silent for the rest of the journey back to Kamino. They all thought about the inhibitor that Rex mentioned, and all decided that if no one else brought it up, they wouldn't either. Their only goal now was to get back home.